That summer when I was 18, Michael was the first person I ever slept with. It hurt, but I was also secretly happy the whole night. I thought that my 6 years of secretly liking him had finally paid off. Until the next day when I heard his friends teasing him. Not bad, huh? The pretty girl in class was your first. I felt embarrassed and was about to leave quietly. Then I heard Michael answer as if it was no big deal. Actually, I wanted to go after the school's prettiest girl, but I was afraid she'd think I didn't have enough experience. So I had to practice with Olivia first. I didn't say anything. At the last moment, I quietly changed my university application from Boston to Miami. Michael's words hit me hard, like a sudden clap of thunder on a clear day. I was completely caught off guard. My mind went blank. On that hot summer afternoon, my whole body felt freezing cold. The conversation in the classroom continued. The group seemed surprised for a moment before speaking again. That's just like Michael. Only the prettiest girl in school is good enough for him to practice on. Doesn't that basically make her like one of those servant girls in olden times? Michael laughed carelessly. That's nonsense. It's not like she lost anything, okay? Someone immediately added, yeah, though she's a bit too skinny. Compared to the school's prettiest girl, her figure is just annoyed. Michael threw a book at him, cutting him off. It just happened in the moment. The mood was already there. Besides, she didn't seem to be holding back either. The group exchanged knowing looks and started teasing him. Didn't expect the pretty girl in class to be the quiet but wild type. Wow, Michael, you're just too charming. A free meal right in front of you. Why not take it? Olivia has liked Michael for so many years. Guess she finally got what she wanted. She must have been waiting to throw herself at you for ages. The laughter in the classroom got louder. I bit my lip hard, clenching my fist tightly. It took all my strength to stay steady and not fall down right there at the classroom door. Footsteps came from the end of the hallway. I suddenly realized what was happening and ran away in panic. I quickly locked myself inside a bathroom stall. Tears of sadness and shame had been flowing for a long time. Michael's words kept repeating in my mind. Every single word broke what little confidence I had left. If I hadn't heard it myself, I would never have believed that the man who had held me so closely last night, the one I was so passionate with, was the same person. So it turns out that love isn't needed for that kind of closeness. Even when you're feeling very emotional and not thinking clearly, you can still lie and trick someone. The relationship I had foolishly thought was my happy ending was just a joke to other people. The more I cried, the worse I felt. But I didn't even dare to make a sound, my body shaking uncontrollably. After a long while, my phone made a sound, telling me I had a message. It was from Michael. Take a taxi home by yourself. My class is having a party tonight, so it's not easy for me to bring you along. I didn't reply. A moment later, another message came. Make sure to buy the morning after pill yourself. I'm busy today. Don't forget to take it, okay? I looked at the two messages, unable to speak. From evening until morning yesterday, Michael had been with me again and again. By the end, we were both completely tired. Before falling asleep, he had said twice, "It wasn't planned this time. I'll make sure to buy the pills for you tomorrow." He even reminded me that as a girl, I needed to take care of myself and that missing the pill could hurt my body. At the time, I thought he was being responsible, that I had finally found happiness. But now, suddenly, everything became clear. I dug my nails into my palm, stopping myself from crying. Wiping my face, I stood up straight and walked out of the restroom. Too embarrassed to go to the pharmacy myself, I ordered the pills online. When they arrived, I waited a long time before carefully getting the package from my doorstep. With tears in my eyes, I swallowed the pill. As I sat on the carpet, staring blankly, I felt like all my strength had gone. For 10 years, ever since moving next door to Michael, I had followed him around like a little shadow. I never once thought about what life would be like without him. I was too scared to. But from now on, it would just be me. Outside the window, the city lights flickered on and then off again. I didn't know how much time had passed when my best friend, Ashley, called me on video. "Tina, why didn't you come to our class party with Michael tonight?" "That girl from the English class, Danielle, is here, though. Since you're not around, she's practically stuck to Michael, trying to get his attention." As Ashley finished speaking, she turned her camera around. In the dark corner of the room, Michael sat very close to Danielle. Tonight, Danielle wore a short top and a tight denim skirt, showing off her slim waist and long legs. They were a little away from the others, even their conversations seemed very private, like a whispered talk between lovers. Even through the screen, it was clear what was happening. A sharp pain squeezed my chest. Michael had said he was thinking of going after her this afternoon. Apparently, by tonight, he already had. Danielle was chosen in a game of truth or dare and had to do push-ups in a funny position with a boy she chose. Predictably, Michael immediately offered. The group cheered loudly. Blushing, Danielle obediently lay down on the sofa. Michael positioned himself above her and began doing push-ups, his movements careful and controlled. He seemed determined not to touch her. Until the final push-up. Whether he was tired or meant to, he lost his balance and fell directly onto Danielle. The screams and laughter around them got even louder, almost shaking the walls. Both Michael and Danielle turned even redder. Amid the crowd's wild encouragement, Michael suddenly leaned in and kissed Danielle, a long, passionate kiss. They were lost in it for 3 whole minutes before finally pulling apart, not wanting to let go. For those 3 painful minutes, I stared at the screen, not moving, barely remembering to breathe. It felt like my heart was being ripped apart. I wanted to cry, but after crying so much earlier without drinking any water, I had no tears left. Wow, Tina, did you see that? They were practically kissing like crazy, Ashley said, clicking her tongue before turning the camera away and stepping outside. She found a quiet spot and spoke seriously. Tina, don't be mad at me. If I didn't make you see this with your own eyes, you wouldn't have let go. My throat was dry and rough, my words barely loud enough to hear. I'm not mad at you. I could only blame myself for being blind all these years. I thought that because Michael had let me stay by his side for so long, that place would always be mine. I just can't stand how he acts like he doesn't know anything, knowing you've loved him for so long, but still leading you on, letting you fall deeper and deeper. You saw everything just now. I really hope you take this seriously. Don't let him waste another 4 years of your life in college. He won't, Ashley. I interrupted her, my voice calm. I won't give myself that chance again. Ashley, I've decided. I'm going to Miami with you for university. But you have to promise me. Keep it a secret for now. As soon as I finished speaking, to stop myself from changing my mind, I opened my laptop in front of Ashley. Without hesitating, I changed my first choice university to that well-known school in Miami, just before the deadline. Ashley was so happy she practically jumped up and down. She had been asking me to apply to the same university for ages. But back in our first year of high school, I had already made a promise to Michael that we would work hard together and after the college entrance exams, go hand in hand to the place he had always dreamed of, Boston. That was where his favorite aviation program was. Even though I'd never really liked the cold weather up north and didn't care much for that technical university, for 3 years, I made it my goal just because of him. As neighbors for so many years, even our parents supported us applying to the same university. Everyone, including myself, believed that once we became adults, Michael and I would naturally end up together. But now, I couldn't find a single reason to go to Boston anymore. Or rather, after today, if I kept holding on to Michael like before, I wouldn't even be able to respect myself. I just wanted to get far away. It didn't matter where, as long as it wasn't where he was. He was going north, so I would go south. Before bed, I filled the bathtub all the way, hoping to wash everything off completely. But when I took off my clothes, the bruises on my skin were still very noticeable. Memories of last night came back against my will. The intense warmth of his skin, as we held each other tightly, his hot breath against my ear when we were passionate. The remains of it all still seemed to be in the air. I shook my head hard, desperate to get rid of those silly thoughts. Grabbing the roughest bath towel I could find, I scrubbed my skin over and over again, not stopping until it turned red and sore. It was as if scrubbing hard enough could erase the most embarrassing memory of my life. The only thing that happened was that I ended up in so much pain I couldn't sleep all night. As expected, Michael didn't send any messages. For the first time in 6 years, ever since we got our phones, our habit of saying goodnight to each other was broken. Maybe it was for the best. It would have happened sooner or later. Might as well start cutting ties tonight. I slept on and off restlessly until almost morning. Just as I was falling into a deeper sleep, I suddenly felt something, like a very light kiss pressed gently against my forehead, and I woke up suddenly. The first thing I saw was a familiar jawline and Adam's apple. The smell around me was Michael's favorite, cedarwood mixed with a faint hint of a lemon smell I didn't know. I had almost forgotten. Michael knew my front door code. Seeing that I was awake, he simply leaned down further, chuckling as he tried to kiss me on the lips. I turned my head away in panic. Pushing him off, I quickly moved to the other side of the bed. Michael paused for a second before teasing me with a smile. "Why so shy? I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled the blanket over my head. Michael, always persistent, yanked at my covers while scolding me. "Tina, getting bold now, aren't you? Didn't even say goodnight to me last night, and you had the nerve to turn off your phone and go to sleep. And now you're avoiding me?" Before I could react, he quickly slipped under my blanket. I gasped as he wrapped me completely in his arms. "Come on now. How many times do I have to tell you? Breakfast is a must. I went for a run this morning just to bring you your favorite blueberry muffins. Stood in line for ages. So, do you want to get up and eat them now? Or should I eat first?" His breath was warm against my ear and his hand began to move. The confusion in my mind cleared instantly. I struggled with all my strength. But at 5'3", I was no match for a man standing 6'2". I couldn't understand him at all. He already had Danielle, so why was he still playing with me? I fought against him for a while, panting from the effort, but instead of getting free, I found myself held even tighter. "What's with the tantrum now? Are you mad just because I didn't take you to the party last night?" I stayed silent. He buried his face in the side of my neck and laughed. "Let me guess, your best friend told you on me?" "It was just a game. Are you seriously jealous over that? You're still the same as always. Whenever I get a little close to another girl, you get upset." I was beyond angry, not even knowing where to start. The moment of clarity came quickly. I remembered what I learned in self-defense class. With all my strength, I drove my knee upward. Michael groaned in pain, loosening his grip just enough for me to get out of bed. "Tina!" Michael gritted his teeth, his face turning red. I quickly threw on a jacket over my pajamas and rushed into the living room. I refused to stay in the same room as him, especially not in my bedroom. After a while, Michael followed me out, looking both annoyed and helpless. For a moment, he seemed to remember something and asked lazily, "By the way, you took the pill yesterday, right? Don't cause any trouble. I wouldn't know how to explain it to your parents." He walked over to the table, picked up a cup of orange juice, and held it out to me. "Here, drink something before you keep sulking. You know your stomach is weak." I didn't speak and didn't take the cup. Michael's hand stayed in the air for a long time before he finally got impatient. "What the hell is this about? Tina, even getting upset should have some reason and limit, don't you think?" I replied coldly. "I'm not good enough." Michael's face darkened instantly. He slammed the cup onto the coffee table. The plastic cup cracked under the force, orange juice spilling all over the carpet. "What do you mean by that? Who do you think you are, Tina? We slept together once. Both of us wanted to. And now you think you can control me? Do you have any idea how suffocating that is?" His tone was harsher than ever before. Instantly, my tears poured down like rain, without even a second of warning. All the shame and pain from yesterday came back in a huge wave. Michael seemed surprised by my sudden outburst and fumbled awkwardly. With frustration, he muttered an apology. "Sorry, I drank too much last night. I got a little carried away just now." He crouched beside me, reaching out to wipe my tears, but I moved away from him again. He froze, his hand hanging in the air. Just as he was about to try again, his phone made a sound. One look at the screen, and his expression changed instantly. Without hesitating, he got up and started to leave. "I have something urgent. Calm down by yourself. You're in college now? If you keep acting like a child, who's going to put up with you?" Less than half an hour after he left, Ashley sent me a screenshot. It was a social media post from Danielle. Happy days. Said I was hungry and poof, a love-filled breakfast appeared like magic. Feels like my crush and I are finally on the same page. The picture showed a breakfast set, the exact same blueberry muffins Michael had brought to my house. Even the packaging was the same. I didn't reply. Silently, I wiped away my tears, crouched down, and carefully tried to clean the spilled orange juice from the carpet. I scrubbed for ages, only to realize in frustration that the stain had already gone deep into the wool, impossible to remove. Anger surged through me. I grabbed the entire rug and threw it out. It didn't matter. It was just something Michael had brought back for me from Canada after a full afternoon of careful selection. Along with it, I gathered every single thing of his left in my home, every gift he had ever given me, every photo of us together. One by one, I packed them all up and threw them away. I spent the entire day getting rid of him from my life. Michael didn't contact me in the days that followed. Things must have been going well with Danielle, or maybe he was waiting for me to give in. In the past, every time we had a fight, I always apologized first, without fail. But this time, I didn't reach out, and I never would. I blocked his social media and phone number, changed my door code, and deleted all my social media accounts. With everything settled, I called my parents, who were on a business trip. I told them I wanted to visit my aunt in California for the summer. The plan was simple. By the time summer ended, I would leave straight for university in Miami with Ashley. No one but Ashley knew about my decision. This plan would make sure I avoided every possible meeting with Michael. On the phone, my mom teased me. "Oh, are you and Michael planning a little vacation together?" I made up an excuse, not wanting to explain. I simply told her I wanted to spend time with my aunt and grandma. I asked my dad to book me the earliest flight available. I was ready to leave that very night. But just as I was about to step out, I ran into Michael's mother at the entrance of our neighborhood. She greeted me warmly. "Tina, what are you doing here alone? Didn't Michael come pick you up? Didn't he say he was taking you on a skiing trip to Colorado? Have fun, dear. I totally support it." I froze. Back during exam prep, I had indeed told Michael that I wanted to experience a winter in the mountains and go skiing in Colorado. But given how things were between us now, why would he still plan a trip like that? There was no time to think about it. I mumbled a quick excuse and hurried off. What I never expected, however, was that at the airport, I would run into Michael. He was with a group of friends. Danielle was there too. Michael carried a woman's handbag in one hand while keeping his other arm around Danielle. They walked at the back of the group. Every so often, Danielle would tilt her head to say something to him, and Michael would always lean down patiently to listen. Not like us. Michael had always been taller than me. He kept growing while I stayed the same. Whenever I wanted to talk to him, I had to stand on my tiptoes, bouncing slightly just to reach his ear. It turns out that for someone he truly cared about, he was willing to lower himself first. I took a deep breath, told myself to have some self-respect. What he did had nothing to do with me anymore. If I kept overthinking, I'd get upset again. But there was only one path leading to the boarding gates. I had no choice but to trail far behind them. After what felt like forever, we finally reached a fork in the corridor. Michael seemed distracted. He made several phone calls, but none of them went through. He kept fiddling with his phone, looking frustrated. Eventually, he borrowed a friend's phone and, looking visibly annoyed, disappeared into a nearby restroom. Moments later, my phone rang, an unfamiliar number. "Tina, looks like you're really mad this time, huh? You won't even call me unless I reach out first? You even blocked me? Fine, have it your way. Just don't come crying to me when you get to Boston and don't know anyone there to take care of you." Michael's tone was sharp, his words relentless as he continued lecturing me. I said nothing. There was nothing to say. He only seemed to get more irritated by my silence. "I don't have time for this. Just unblock me on social media already. I'm about to fly out with some friends for a couple of days. Might not have good reception, so don't go worrying yourself sick." I couldn't even be bothered to respond. I simply hung up and turned off my phone. From a distance, I watched Michael return to his group, his face dark with frustration. Without another moment of hesitation, he grabbed Danielle's hand and headed toward the left gate. I sighed, turning right. During my time in California with my relatives, I acted happy. I kept myself busy, filling my days with activities to avoid any moments that might lead to overthinking. And of course, I never added Michael back. Still, Ashley and some other friends would occasionally tell me what he was doing. Apparently, Michael and his friends had spent quite a while in Colorado. For some reason, he had been unusually diligent about posting updates every day. This was very different from the Michael I knew, the one who barely used social media for months at a time. His posts were varied: short videos of him skiing very fast, pictures of fancy meals, wild all night parties. But the most frequent ones were group photos, everyone laughing and having fun in the snow. Even though I had no interest in following his life, people kept sending me his posts. Everyone seemed curious, asking me in subtle ways why I hadn't gone to Colorado with him. I didn't know how to explain, so I just said it was because of family things in California. Other than Ashley, who straight up called him a jerk every time, most people hesitated to say much in front of me. I knew why. They had noticed it too. In every photo Michael posted, he and Danielle were side by side, always together. But that spot next to him had been mine for so many years. Every time I saw those pictures, my face stayed calm, but deep down, my heart would feel a dull ache. After all, he was my first love, the one I had truly cared for so long. In the quiet hours of the night, I still found myself feeling sad about losing him. There were moments of bitterness, of not wanting to let go. But then I would remember his cruel words, and I would mentally tell myself again and again, Tina, don't be pathetic. Don't give him more reasons to look down on you. Just hold on a little longer. Once this sad feeling goes away, everything will be fine. We had gone an entire month without speaking, the longest time we had ever had a fight. Distance and time were the best way to heal. I had made it through the hardest part. I was finally at a point where I could go days without thinking of him. And just then, Michael changed his number and called me from overseas. Tina, you're really something, huh? Took off to the US and didn't even tell me. You've been there for so long. Summer's almost over. Did you forget you promised to travel with me? Maybe because we hadn't spoken in so long, his voice had a rare hint of uncertainty behind the complaints. I still didn't want to talk to him. I was about to hang up when Michael's mother took the phone. Tina, sweetheart, are you enjoying your time over there? Michael, this boy, he never tells me anything. I only just found out you two had a fight. Don't be too hard on him, okay? When you come back, make him apologize to you in person. Oh, by the way, Michael got his acceptance letter today. Yours should be arriving soon, too. When are you coming back for your graduation party? I have a surprise for you. Michael's mother had always been kind to me, like a real aunt. I couldn't bring myself to hang up on her, so I simply listened as she talked. Auntie, I'm not planning to have a party. My parents are busy traveling all over the place, and my relatives can just send their congratulations online. I probably won't be coming back anytime soon either. I'll just return in time for school registration. Before I could finish, Michael was back on the line. His breathing was heavy, his anger clear, even across the distance. Tina, I'm already trying to make peace. How long are you going to keep being upset? If you don't come back soon, don't blame me for going to Boston without you. His words were cold, a warning. He waited for me to answer, but when I didn't, he added, think carefully, don't regret it. I hung up immediately and blocked the number. I sat there for a while, not really thinking, before deciding to go for a walk outside. But just as I stepped out, my mom called me on video. It turned out my acceptance letter had arrived at home. When my parents saw which university I had chosen, they were completely shocked. Tina, why didn't you talk about this with us before changing your choice? Does Michael know? His mom was just asking me this morning if your acceptance letter had arrived. Dad looked into the camera with concern. Sweetheart, how can we feel okay with you going to Miami all alone? Aren't you terrified of heat and cockroaches? You really think you can live there? Don't call me crying when you need me to come catch a cockroach for you. I didn't know what to say, so I quickly told them all the good things about my chosen university and reassured them that Ashley would be with me. But they were still worried. Did you and Michael fight? Even so, You shouldn't make such a big decision without thinking it through. What if you regret it in a few days and want to go looking for Michael? Then what? Exactly. You're choosing to be far away for 4 whole years. You couldn't even last 2 weeks at your grandma's during summer break without complaining to come home to Michael. The more they talked, the worse I felt. So I decided to explain everything once and for all. Michael has a girlfriend now. It wouldn't be right for me to stay that close to him. Mom, Dad, I have my own life. I don't want to live in his world anymore. Please, just support my decision and don't tell anyone yet. My parents looked at each other, silent for a long time before finally agreeing. The only thing they asked was for me to return home soon. School was starting soon, and they wanted to spend more time with me before I left. Mom mentioned that after getting his acceptance letter, Michael had gone on another trip with friends the very next day. He hadn't been home for days. Meanwhile, his mother kept asking my mom when I would be back. The day I returned, my parents were both dressed nicely when they came to pick me up at the airport. I fell asleep in the car, but when I woke up, I realized we had stopped in front of a fancy hotel. Still sleepy, my mother was pulling me inside. And then, just as we stepped into the grand lobby, I saw Michael. I froze. He stood near the fountain in a perfectly fitted suit, his tall, slim figure looking effortlessly elegant. Over just one summer, the boyish look had gone from his face, leaving behind the version of him I had once imagined he would become. A mix of feelings I couldn't name swirled inside me. After all the effort I put into avoiding him, our meeting happened so suddenly. I must have looked surprised because my mother whispered an explanation. Tina, today is Michael's graduation party. We thought we'd pick you up and come straight here for dinner. Dad added casually, Tina, you didn't want to have a party, right? Michael thought ahead and had his parents schedule this for the day of your return. So it's kind of a joint celebration for you both. As if he felt me looking, Michael glanced over. Our eyes met. My heart skipped a beat. Even though I had mentally prepared myself for this moment while I was in the US, I still felt nervous when it finally happened. Michael reacted first. He was about to walk toward me when Danielle suddenly appeared, linking her arm through his. Smiling brightly, she pulled him along as they approached. Tina, you're back, Danielle said happily. That's great. I finally get to meet you properly. I always saw you and Michael together back in school, but since I was in the other class, we never got the chance to talk. It's such a shame. She was being so polite that I had no reason to be rude. Forcing a weak smile, I simply nodded. Michael's expression turned slightly stiff. He spoke in a deliberately casual tone, but there was something odd about it. What's there to meet? She's just a sulky little brat who loves getting upset. I honestly thought she had run away to the US for good. I said nothing. I didn't know how to respond. Danielle, in her sparkling silver dress, shone under the lights, perfectly matching Michael in his sleek suit. I looked down at myself, a plain white t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. My hair was still messy from sleep. I looked like I had just come back from picking up a package. My mom suddenly remembered something and whispered in my ear, I got you a dress. You can change in the makeup room later. I shook my head. There was no need. I wasn't the main person here. Michael kept watching me, his expression hard to read. Danielle's gaze moved between us. The air grew thick with awkward silence. Thankfully, a group of friends arrived just in time, and Danielle immediately pulled Michael away to greet them, looking very confident as the hostess. Taking the chance, I quickly pulled my mother inside the banquet hall. Michael's graduation party was only for close friends and family, so there weren't too many people there. When familiar faces saw me, they were clearly surprised. I just smiled and said hello, pretending not to notice. But their eager, curious expressions were hard to miss. Even when I just stepped out onto the balcony for some fresh air, I could still hear a few friends cornering Michael in the hallway, trying to get information out of him. Didn't you say Tina broke up with you over the whole thing with Danielle, so she still couldn't let go and came looking for you? Michael let out a low chuckle. She's just being childish. Give it a couple of days, she'll get over it. We've known each other for too long. There's no way she'd actually break up with me for good. One of the guys sighed. Honestly, Tina's a good girl. You two have been together for years, and she Practically does whatever you say. We all envy that. So now you've got a childhood sweetheart on one side and your dream girl on the other. Tough choice. What are you planning to do? Michael was quiet for a moment before finally speaking. To be honest, I think Tina is great, but it just feels like a waste. I'm still young. What kind of man only has one woman for his entire life? Knowing exactly how it ends from the start would be too boring. I need to go out and see what's out there. But that doesn't mean I have to give anything up. As long as I can always come back home, it's fine to enjoy other things along the way. A heavy silence followed. Then his friend chuckled and lightly hit his arm. Damn, Michael, you really are a player. I couldn't listen anymore. I quietly walked away. The evening breeze touched my face as I took a deep breath, trying to calm the anger rising in me. I hated myself for being so blind in the past, for seeing him in the wrong way. Tonight had been awful. The only good thing was Michael's mother, who was happy to see me and kept looking after me at the dinner table. Tina, the weather in Boston is dry. Tomorrow, have Michael take you to the mall to get some moisturizing skincare products. That's not necessary, Auntie. There are plenty of malls in Boston, and online shopping is super easy too. She chuckled and turned to my mom. I've already prepared Tina's dorm things along with Michael's. Bed sheets for all seasons, thick blankets, especially for winter when it gets really cold. I even got her a few warm jackets. You're always busy, so no need to worry about her. My mom looked a little uncomfortable. Those things were completely useless in Miami. But not wanting to embarrass Michael's mother, she simply thanked her politely. Meanwhile, Danielle's expression had clearly changed to annoyance. But Michael's mother didn't seem to notice. She continued speaking warmly, turning to both of us. Once you get to Boston, you'll be each other's closest support. Michael, take care of Tina properly and don't make her upset again. Understood? Michael looked at me, his voice uninterested. Deesh, her wings are fully grown now. She doesn't need me. She can fly on her own. An awkward silence settled over the table. Then, Danielle suddenly spoke up, her voice light and sweet. Auntie, my university is in Boston too. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Michael. Besides, Tina will be all the way in Miami, which isn't very convenient, right? The moment she said that, Michael and his parents visibly froze. Miami? They all turned to me at the same time. Danielle looked surprised. Michael, you didn't know. The honor roll list was posted at school. Oh, right, you haven't been back, have you? All eyes were on me. Feeling their stares, I simply nodded. My mom spoke up to explain. Tina changed her application at the last minute. She wants to study in Miami. It's a great university and a program she really likes. Michael didn't believe it. He grabbed my wrist, demanding an answer. Tina, you're going to the same university as me. I saw you fill out the application with my own eyes. His grip hurt. Annoyed, I replied sharply, Yeah, I changed it. What? Do you have a problem with that? Michael looked at me in disbelief before laughing coldly. You're joking, right? You who gets scared by a cockroach? You're seriously going to Miami? I pulled out my phone, opened my photo album, and showed the clear picture of my acceptance letter. I held it up in front of his face. Michael took my phone, zoomed in and out, staring at it for several long moments. Then, to everyone's shock, he let out a short, unbelievable laugh. And in the next instant, he grabbed my wrist and dragged me straight out of the banquet hall. Michael dragged me into the lounge and shut the door behind us. He leaned against the door, blocking me from leaving, his voice sharp and demanding. Tina, well played. You really went and threw away our agreement just to get back at me, transferring to a university in Miami? I lifted my head, forcing myself to stand firm. I have my own dreams. Why should I have to plan my life around what you want? Michael, be honest with yourself. Are you upset about our so-called promise? Or are you upset because I won't be your easy option anymore? His face turned pale. What the hell are you talking about? Do you have to make it sound so bad? We're adults now. That night, wasn't it something we both wanted? Or are you still stuck on that one night? I felt embarrassed, but I refused to look away. Michael, if you liked someone else, you could have just said so. I wouldn't have kept chasing after you like an idiot. But you didn't like me. And yet, you let me keep trying to get your attention. That must have made you feel pretty good, huh? He still didn't understand. People don't give up until they've tried everything. His expression darkened, his face red with anger, or maybe guilt. Do you even hear yourself, Tina? What kind of nonsense? He couldn't finish. We've known each other since we were 8. We're 18 now. If you're choosing to break this relationship, then let's not even be friends anymore. That was the last thing he said before storming out of the hotel. From that day until I left for university, I never saw Michael again. Ashley sent me a screenshot of his public announcement that he was in a relationship with Danielle, but I didn't even bother opening it before deleting the message. I blocked all the friends we had in common who still talked about him. There was no reason to care anymore. The only unfortunate thing was that on the day I left for Miami, I ran into Michael at the airport. He was with Danielle, of course. As we passed each other, he politely said hello to my parents, but didn't even look at me. We walked past each other, neither of us looking back. Before getting on the plane, I happened to glance sideways, and at that exact moment, I saw Michael entering his own gate. He gave a cold look in my direction, then disappeared inside without hesitating. The person I had grown up with, from now on, our paths would never cross again. Finally, we're going in different directions. I wish you well. I whispered the words to myself. After that, we didn't hear from each other for a long, long time. I even told my parents not to mention him around me. In my new life, I made friends, joined clubs, and stayed busy. The past no longer mattered. I realized that focusing on one person for so many years had been incredibly boring. For the first time, I actually agreed with what Michael had said back then. The world is so big, and life is so long. Why settle down with one person so soon? I was grateful that my university wasn't in a place with harsh winters. Even though the humid spring and hurricane season were annoying, and cockroaches were indeed a nightmare, seeing flowers blooming all year round made it easy to forget what winter even felt like. On New Year's, an old high school friend visited Miami. Ashley and I took her out for brunch. Casually, she mentioned Michael. Oh, he and Danielle broke up ages ago. With all the universities along that road in Boston, he's been dating a lot of different people. One relationship after another. He's completely different from how he used to be in high school. No longer the quiet, serious student. You wouldn't even recognize him now. I stayed quiet. Ashley gave our friend a warning look, telling her to change the subject. She quickly did. That night, we watched the fireworks over the ocean, counting down to midnight. Ashley told me to make a wish. After I made one, I realized it was my first wish that had nothing to do with him. For 6 years, every single wish I had made was about Michael, and now he wasn't in my future at all. I smiled. I had truly let go. For my first winter break in college, I missed my parents terribly. The moment exams ended, I rushed home. But the last thing I expected was Michael was at the airport, with my parents, waiting to pick me up. After half a year apart, both Michael and I had changed quite a bit. He looked thinner and his hair was dyed, though, of course, he was still as good-looking as ever. I had never been good at understanding people, but at least my taste had never failed me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been foolish enough to follow him around since we were kids. I hesitated only for a moment before walking over with a bright smile, greeting him naturally. Michael, you're here too? His hand, which had been reaching for my suitcase, froze in midair. He looked at me in shock. Our parents had tried countless times to get me to call him brother when we were younger. I had stubbornly refused. But now, with a new way of thinking, it just came out naturally. Michael, on the other hand, seemed unable to accept it. It took him a long time to calm himself before finally taking my luggage with slightly trembling hands. My mom leaned in and whispered, "We ran into Michael at the airport entrance. He insisted on coming along to help pick you up." I smiled at her, signaling that it was fine. During the car ride home, I eagerly shared all sorts of funny stories about my university with my parents, making them laugh nonstop. I ignored Michael the entire time, but out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that he had been smiling the whole ride. his lips curling up slightly without him realizing it. That day, it seemed like he wanted to come inside for a bit, but the three of us politely said no. Throughout the winter break, I was busy practicing driving during the day and hanging out with high school friends at night. I heard that Michael had come looking for me a few times, but had missed me each time. I was surprised. I didn't think there was anything left for us to talk about. This year, both my grandma and aunt came back home for the Lunar New Year. The house was lively on New Year's Eve. After dinner, the older people gathered on the couch to watch TV, while us younger ones learned how to play mahjong. Suddenly, Michael and his parents arrived at our doorstep, carrying bags of gifts. "Our house is too quiet. Hope you don't mind us joining your game," Michael's mom joked. In the past, our families had always spent the holiday together. This year, however, my mom had declined their invitation to dinner because of what happened between Michael and me. Still, with guests already here, we couldn't really turn them away. Michael naturally took a seat next to me, watching as I played. My cousins, not knowing our history, kept teasing us. I laughed and explained each time. Michael, however, didn't look too happy. At midnight, when we all went outside to set off fireworks, he suddenly pulled me aside, as if he had something to say. But before he could speak, my phone rang. Blushing slightly, I pulled my hand away and stepped aside to answer. It was Samuel, a friend I had made in university. He was from Miami, funny and playful, the kind of guy who always had a joke ready. He called just because he was bored and wanted to count down to the new year together. I didn't think much of it. It was the holidays, after all. So I kept him on the line, letting him listen in as we welcomed the new year. Right before hanging up, he chuckled. "Actually, I just wanted to be the first one to wish you a Happy New Year." "Happy New Year, Tina." I laughed happily and wished him the same. We chatted for a bit longer before he finally hung up. When I turned around, Michael was standing behind me, his expression cold as ice. I had no idea how long he had been listening. "Boyfriend?" His voice was rough. "Not quite yet." I thought for a moment before answering honestly. Michael was silent for a long time. Thinking the conversation was over, I was about to head back inside when he suddenly spoke again. "You know, guys from other places aren't always reliable. You should find someone local, someone you actually know well." I nodded. "True. You never really know a person. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for the advice, Michael. You should settle down too." It was as if I had touched a sore spot. His expression darkened, and without another word, he turned and left the yard. I didn't think much of it. Michael had always been hard to predict. I used to think everything about him was great. But now, well, for the rest of the break, I spent my time visiting relatives and going on road trips with my parents. I barely stayed home and didn't run into Michael again. Before I knew it, winter break was over and I was back at university. But the next day, I saw Michael standing at my campus gate. Michael looked completely worn out, as if something terrible had happened. "Michael, what are you doing here? I wanted to see what your university is like and check if you're doing well in Miami." I smiled and answered, "I'm doing great. The food here is amazing. If you have time, look up some recommendations and try it yourself." He looked a little awkward and didn't answer directly. "Tina, can't you go eat with me? Just this once?" Before I could answer, another voice interrupted. "Sorry, but Tina already has a date with me. You'll have to take a number and wait in line." Samuel walked over and stood between Michael and me, looking tense. Their eyes met, and there was clear tension between them. "Tina, did you come back to school early just for him?" Michael's tone had an emotion I couldn't quite understand. I had no idea what he was thinking, but I didn't need to explain anything to him. "Sorry, Michael, we're heading to lunch now. See you around." I nudged Samuel, who was still standing still. "Come on, didn't you say that restaurant was really far? Let's go." Samuel let me pull him away, but still gave Michael a glare before leaving. As we crossed the street, I glanced back. Michael was still standing by the campus gate, staring at us under the trees, looking unusually lonely. I once heard that after a breakup, women take a month to feel sad before moving on. But men might take much longer to realize what they've lost. Only then does their pain hit them hard. It seemed like Michael's delayed reaction had finally arrived. After months of going out with different people and an entire winter break in silence, he suddenly began showing up around me again. I had no idea what excuse he used to get permission from his school, but he kept coming to Miami. He started sending me all kinds of gifts: flowers, bags, jewelry. I refused them all. Whenever he had nothing better to do, he would wait outside my dorm building, refusing to leave no matter how much anyone tried to persuade him. Whenever he found me, he would walk with me to class and eat lunch with me as if it were completely normal. Samuel was so annoyed that he sighed loudly at me every day. He would sometimes make sarcastic comments, which made me laugh despite myself. Even Michael's mother called me multiple times. She told me that the university had already contacted his parents. If Michael kept skipping classes like this, he could end up having to repeat a year or even be kicked out. She begged me to talk to him. I was completely fed up. I had no idea what Michael was thinking. Back then, he had been determined to see the world and not settle down. And now he was acting like some deeply devoted boyfriend. I decided to talk to him directly. When Michael realized why I had come to him, he became very emotional. "Tina, why can Samuel chase after you, but I can't? How long has he even known you? And how many years have we been together? There's no one in this world, apart from your parents, who knows you better than I do. No one is a better match for you than me." His words made me laugh in disbelief. "Michael, do you really not remember what you did? Think about it. Did you ever care about my feelings? You just liked feeling important because I was always trying to get your attention. You thought that no matter how you treated me, I would never leave. You played with my feelings however you wanted." I had touched a nerve. Michael's expression changed, but he didn't deny it. "Yes, I made mistakes in the past. I was young. I thought the world was full of possibilities, and I didn't want to be tied down by you. I owe you a proper apology." "Tina, I'm sorry." For the first time, he looked truly sorry. Then, lowering his voice as if begging, he said, "But even if you see me as someone you used to know, don't I still have the right to try to win you back? Ever since you left, I've realized I don't know how to live without you. I can't even imagine a future where you're not part of my life." The evening breeze by the river was strong, making my head hurt. I took a long time to think before finally answering. "To be honest, Michael, I've realized something since leaving you. When two people truly like each other, they don't have to constantly be careful around each other. For the first time, I can be myself. My feelings are no longer controlled by what someone else wants. And I suddenly realized maybe what I felt for you back then wasn't love. Maybe I was just young and didn't know any better." Michael froze as if he had been struck by lightning. It took him a long time before he spoke again, his voice filled with pain. "But we promised. We said we would go to college together, study abroad together, travel the world together. Are you breaking all of those promises?" For a brief moment, I hesitated. I nodded, then shook my head. "You were the one who broke them first, and besides, I've already found someone I want to do all those things with." Michael's composure broke. His eyes turned red. "Stop, Tina. Please, just stop." Seeing him like that, I couldn't help but say one last thing. "Maybe you don't actually love me. Maybe you just can't accept losing. Michael, it's time for you to move on too." I didn't wait for him to answer. Across the street, Samuel had been waiting for me for a long time. I ran over to him. As soon as I reached him, he took my hand without hesitating. "Did you finally get rid of your ex-boyfriend?" He joked. "Did you tell him that from now on, I'm the one who'll handle all the cockroaches for you? He's not allowed to kill even one anymore." I laughed and laughed, almost crying. Before walking away, I glanced back one last time at Michael. He was still standing there by the river, not moving. People passed by, coming and going. Some were saying goodbye. Others were meeting again. But for Michael and me, this was our final goodbye, like the rain that falls and then disappears.